sponsor tonight is the National Association of Basketball Coaches, a Kansas City-based organization which has sponsored this event for the last 9 years. Dan is going to tell you a little bit more about that relationship between the National Association of Basketball Coaches and Kansas City.
Well, it's only fitting that I would be standing up here honoring the Hall with a Hall. But we've got 3 great days of college basketball ahead of us, beginning with tonight's induction event where we honor 8 giants of the game. And that is going to be followed by 2 great nights of college basketball over at the Sprint Center, Monday night and Tuesday night. And this is a great way to showcase this wonderful, rejuvenated, energetic downtown that we have here in Kansas City. It would be even better if the rain would stop.
Kansas City is the center of college basketball, and the National Association of Basketball Coaches and Jim Haney as their leader have been the guardians of the game for many, many years. We're proud to be associated with them. I hope you all have a great evening. I think you'll enjoy yourselves. Thank you very much.
I had to come up with a game that young men could play in the wintertime in a YMCA or a college campus. And the purpose of it was recreation and good sportsmanship and building strong bodies. I think that in some respects we met that goal. I always planned for it to be a game of running and passing, most of all, and occasionally a shot might be taken. The first game was the magnificent score of 1-0, which I thought was about right. But as I understand it, the scoring has become a little more frequent in recent years. Now tonight I'm here simply to welcome you to this event that is taking place in Kansas City, where so many wonderful basketball events have happened over the years. And because it's close to where my old stomping grounds were at the University of Kansas. But you know, whether it was with a peach basket or a soccer ball, which was our first ball that we used, the game of basketball is spread around the world. And tonight we recognize some of the giants of the college game, which to me is the most important part of basketball that there is. So let the game begin.
University Grand Hill. I get the first question here, Seth.
He hasn't aged today. I don't like this
guy. He looks great. Looks good. How are you enjoying the broadcasting before we rewind a little bit?
I'm having fun. I'm having fun. I can't believe I get paid to talk about basketball. And had a chance to work with both of you last year during the March to Madness. I get a chance to work with one of the fellow inductees, Mr. O'Neal. Yeah. So I'm having a blast.
Have a good time. All right, well, take me back to the decision to end up at Duke. What led to that, and then what did you gain from that remarkable 4-year journey?
Yeah, no, I mean, if you go back to probably August, September of 1989, I was trying to figure out, going into my senior year in high school, what schools I wanted to go to, and it came down to Duke and Carolina.
Oh, really?
Those were the 2 final schools, and you know, I made a visit to campus, and you know, just fell in love with the university. Obviously, Coach K, what he was doing, the guys on the team, and so I knew on that visit that this was where I wanted to be, and I think I made the right decision.
No, it seemed like it worked out pretty good for you.
It worked out pretty good, but it was a great decision, and obviously 4 years there, playing for moments, you get a chance to relive some of those every year. During March Madness, I get to see the series of bad haircuts that I had back when I was in college. But,
do you cringe when you see that? Would you change it if you could?
Yeah, I changed that one haircut, that one against Kansas. I was going a little too hardcore, I guess, but no, it was fun. You know, great memories. And now that I've retired, about a year and a half of being retired from playing, you have a chance now to really reflect and appreciate those times and those memories and those experiences.
And of course, what really took the balance between those schools was the fact that Duke had such a good student newspaper. And that's a very important.
I knew you were going to weasel that in there.
But so people look at those highlights, Grant, and I think they probably assume that at least when you came into Duke, that you had a confidence and a swagger that was commensurate with your ability. That was really not the case. And you went on to a group of players that had some very, very strong personalities, especially a dominant personality in Christian Laettner. How did you manage that transition to become a part of that group and try to make your way amidst those strong personalities?
Yeah, we had a lot of personalities on that team, and coming in as a freshman, at least back then it was a little bit different. Freshmen, a lot of times you waited for your turn, you waited for your opportunity, and certainly that was my mindset and attitude coming in as a freshman there. And Coach K wanted me to not wait my turn. He wanted me to be more assertive and come in and be dominant as a freshman. And so that, it's kind of hard to maybe visualize that now because you see freshmen coming in and certainly doing that in college. But it was a challenge. But the great thing was, I had dominant personalities, but they were very supportive teammates. And so Christian and Bobby, Brian Davis, some of the upperclassmen, they were very supportive and encouraging me to be great and to do things and have an impact on the game. And so they gave me confidence along with the coach. And by the end of that year, look, if you have those haircuts, you have to have a little bit of swagger. So I had developed that by the end of my first year.
You obviously had a phenomenal college career, terrific pro career as well. Where were there periods or any bumps of adversity during your college time, and how did you work through those, if in fact they exist? I mean, many people looking from the outside in would assume that it was a fairly smooth ascension. But was there any turbulence? Yeah, there was turbulence. I mean, obviously I was fortunate my first 2 years, we won the championship. We won it all, and it was just a fantasy ride those years. And obviously there were challenges as a team and individually during that experience. But my third year, my junior year, I broke my toe and broke it mid-season, and really the team needed me, and I wasn't able to be there, and sort of go through that experience. Little did I know, one, it would foreshadow what was to come down the road in the NBA, but certainly just gave you a sense of reality, gave you a sense of you're not this superhero, if you will, that we are human, and so it gave me a good perspective at the age of 20, the importance of taking care of yourself and just also appreciating the gift and the opportunity we have to go out there and play at a high level. Unfortunately, I came back, and the next year we lost in the finals to Arkansas. Scotty Thurman hit a tough shot over my roommate Tony Lang, but that was an interesting time. Missing a good portion of that season my junior year really allowed for a lot of growth on my part.
Well, of course, there have been a lot of great players come through Duke University, and folks who put on the show asked several of those Duke players who their favorite all-time Blue Devil was. So I'm interested to hear what they had to say. Let's take a look.
Grant Hill is certainly deserving of being in the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame. He's one of the great college players ever.
My favorite is a guy I consider one of my closest friends, is Grant Hill.
Hands down, it was Grant Hill.
Grant Hill. Grant Hill.
Oh, Grant Hill.
Grant Hill.
Grant Hill. Grant Hill.
Grant was a big reason why I came here. Wanted the opportunity to play with him, to learn from him.
Extraordinary player, such a gifted athlete.
I loved how selfless he was. Obviously, everyone knows how talented he is. You could see that.
I don't think it was anything that he couldn't do on the basketball court.
Loved how selfless he was, how about team he was, how he carried himself on and off the floor.
He was a guy that, we all wanted to be like.
Could play virtually every position, which he did for us my freshman year, his senior year.
Watching him, I think, was one of the main reasons why I really fell in love with Duke basketball.
The most talented player that I've coached at Duke, and one of the best young men. So deserving, talent-wise and character-wise, to be in this Hall of Fame.
Wow, now how does that make you feel, partner? That's really impressive. Have you heard any of that stuff before?
Well, first of all, when I hear Coach K talk, anytime, whether on tape or in person, I feel like I'm 18 and I'm in trouble. But certainly having him say those kind words and my teammates and guys that have been a part of the Duke family, it just means a lot. Your peers, people who I respect and admire, they say those kind of words for me. And to think, you see some of those names and faces, they've crossed many different years, but no, it's quite an honor, and I'm glad that I made the decision to go there and be a part of that culture and that family.
Let's end. I'd like to ask you not only what means to be in the Hall of Fame, but to talk about really the two people who deserve the lion's share of the credit who sit here in the audience, Calvin Hill, and especially the General, Janet Hill. Right. And the gifts that they gave you growing up and instilled in you that allowed you to be sitting where you are today.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I'm first of all, like I said, honored and thrilled to be here in the College Basketball Hall of Fame. I mean, I fell in love with the game of basketball because I watched college basketball. And I remember the '82 Final Four. You asked earlier, Daryl Griffith, at that moment, or excuse me, Dr. Wilkes, that moment when he knew. And for me, I was 9 years old and I watched the Final Four, and we had just bought a Betamax right before the Final Four, and so that was the first thing we recorded. And I think those games, I memorized all those games, and that's when I knew, okay, this is a dream. That's what I want to do one day. That's what I want to be a part of. And my parents, they really nurtured that dream, and they, driving me to practices and being supportive. My mom was always my #1 fan, and then my dad, of course, knowing I had a love for basketball, taking me to Final Fours when I was a kid, and getting a chance to watch all the great players and meet some of the coaches, when I was a kid. And so, to fast forward to playing it, and them to be there along the way, the journey, and through the ups and the downs. I mean, it's there are people along the way who obviously support you when you get to a certain level of success, when you get into a Hall of Fame, and many coaches, many teammates, but my parents have been #1 all along, and I'm just grateful that they're here, they're able to share this with me, and I'm a Hall of Famer, but they're Hall of Fame parents as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Hey, man, well said. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Congratulations, man.
As a freshman at LSU, quickly established himself as a household name and a larger-than-life character, a movie star, a television broadcaster, and a legend that has only grown and become stronger over time.
Shaquille O'Neal was unbelievable as a 13-year-old. He was so big that when LSU coach Dale Brown visited the U.S. Army base in Germany where O'Neal lived as a child, Brown thought that O'Neal was in the Army. After O'Neal explained that he was a teenager, he asked Brown for advice on how to become a better basketball player. The two struck up a friendship, and several years later, LSU was the logical choice when it came time for O'Neal to pick a college. O'Neal proceeded to dominate college basketball the next 3 years with his incredible size, strength, and talent. O'Neal was the Southeastern Conference Player of the Year and the National Player of the Year in both 1991 and 92. He was the first SEC player to lead the league in scoring, rebounding, field goal percentage, and blocked shots in one season. His Tigers compiled a record of 64 and 29 in his 3 years there. During his freshman year, he teamed with future NBA stars Chris Jackson and Stanley Roberts to form one of the Tigers' most talented teams. O'Neal averaged 22 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 blocks a game for his career, and set LSU records for blocks in a game, season, and career. An unbelievable college career made believable by Shaquille O'Neal, one of its biggest stars.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome two-time All-American National College Player of the Year from LSU, Shaquille O'Neal. What are you thinking about? What are you about to say?
Just how happy I am to be here, especially with one of my favorite guys in the world, Coach Brown. And you know, people always ask me, how come I chose LSU? Now, 2030, I think it was destiny that he came to that Army base. It was the worst place to live. Like if I could show you that place virtually, the worst place to live. So I always ask myself, how come you took that job? Because kids are offered to speak daily, weekly. So I always say to myself, how come you took that job? And I never had a chance to go to 5-star or any of those camps. So when I came back from Germany and came to San Antonio, I wasn't highly recruited. And then I became a high school All-American and everybody came. But I decided to go to LSU because when I was a nobody, when I was a kid who didn't believe in myself, Coach Brown believed in me.
What prompted you to seek him out?
Want to be honest?
Yeah. That's the only way you roll, right?
Well, I was a medium level juvenile delinquent. I was medium level. So my father, he ran in the house with the paper. He said, "Hey, they got a college coach. They got a college coach speaking. Maybe if you go up there, maybe we can get your big ass a scholarship." Not just like the Army. So that's why I even went. My father came around and said, "I'm not paying for college. Your big ass is going to get a scholarship." So is that what happened? Yeah, that's happened. I was just sitting in the house eating Frosted Flakes. I had my shorts and my slippers. My father said, "Get up." My father was a drill sergeant. "Get up. Listen to this coach speak." So I went. I was a kid on the base that I was 6'9", but let's just say you came into play, and like you didn't know many of the guys, you would pick me first, somebody would tap me on the shoulder and say, "Don't pick him. He's terrible." "He's 6'9". "No, he can't play." So I waited till everybody left, and then I talked to Coach Brown. Coach Brown talked about the word extremity. Being a medium juvenile delinquent, my mother and my father always made me read out the dictionary. So a couple of days before that, I was on E. And I found that word extremities. So when I met Coach Brown, I was like, you know what, I'm the college coach. Let me sound smart. So that was my smart word of the day.
Well, speaking of sounding smart, you sound very smart in your current role on Turner. As Grant Hill said, now after paying you untold sums of money to play the game of basketball, you're now getting paid to talk about the game of basketball. And I think you made a pretty fascinating entrance into the broadcasting world as well. Let's take a look at how that went.
And welcome to Inside the NBA, along with Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith. My pleasure to introduce the newest member of our team, Where's Shaq?
You've enjoyed that, it looks like.
Yeah, they allow us to have a lot of fun. I can remember also another time being a medium juvenile delinquent. I was a class clown. My mother told me one day, she said, "You're either gonna get into a lot of trouble or making a lot of money in the class clown." So, great advice, Mom.
I'd like you to actually talk more about your mom, Coach, talked about her. I know both of you are Hall of Fame inductees, if I'm not mistaken, in the Boys and Girls Club, and the influence that she's had on you and continues to have on you.
Well, my mother is the creator of my program, well, the co-creator. Her and my father recently passed away. They're the co-creator of the Shaq brand or the Shaquille O'Neal program. I like to tell business people that imagine me being Google and they building me in their garage, and then they meet a white guy with a whole lot of money who puts all the money in and bow and just takes off. My mother's my favorite person, and she's. I have an Oedipus complex. You don't know anything about that. Greek history. God has a love of his mother, and she's the best. She's wonderful, and she gets on me every now and then. Every now and then when I make a mistake, I'll get the call and then, uh-oh.
Deferring to you, partner.
Well, I'm curious about a couple things actually. You talked about being 6'9" and 13. There's an awkwardness there, right? And maybe a shyness that comes with that. I don't know. You're talking about a lack of confidence. We see you as this outgoing, fun-loving lover of life. At what point did you become the person that you are now and leave that gangly 13-year-old on the army base behind?
Well, at 13, I had Osgood Schlatter, but I just had bad knees, and I couldn't play. Confidence was low, and because of Coach Brown, my mother, my father, they just stayed on me. They told me to believe it. Things just started changing. I got cut my freshman year. A fellow by the name of Foreman Merchant, who was at the Boys and Girls Club in Germany, put me on the team. We won the youth title then. And then my sophomore year, I also got cut and then moved to San Antonio. And then I played, I started my junior and my senior year in Texas. But, Coach Brown, mother, father, they just, stayed on me. Uncle Jerome, Mark, Derek, Mr. Mallett, I got a lot of people here from LSU who just stayed on me and just, made me believe, even at times when I didn't believe I was good enough. I mean, Dale Brains around me all the time. I never really wanted to go to college, wanted to be in the Army or be a police officer. When my father came in the house again, he said, stand up, I want to show you something. So he showed me the paper. And this is the time when John Concack signed a big contract, 15 for 3. So my father says, if you stay out of trouble, you can make this much money. So I was like, 15 for 3, $5 million a year. So like once I saw that, then I started, really going. Then I went to LSU, and I was the 3rd best player on the team. So I was,
So you say that? I mean, that's how you felt?
Yeah, that's how. Because in my mind I wasn't good enough. And then, when I signed to LSU, I was like, what am I doing? Chris is here, Stanley's here. I'm not good enough. So my father came in and he showed me that. And I was like, it's a lot of money, $5 million a year. So I went to LSU and kind of got let down a little bit because Stan was there. And Stan was 2 times better than me. Chris Jackson was the man. But, going into Coach Brown's office every day, he used to just tell me, just wait. Your turn is coming. Your time is coming. And then one day I woke up and Chris decided to go to the NBA and Stanley was gone. And everything was mine. And crazy thing about my college career, I didn't believe I was good enough until I heard Dick Vitale say, when Shaq decides to go out, he'll be the #1 pick.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's when I started believing in it.
And obviously you've talked about Coach Brown and the influence he had. Coach Brown, talk about how you saw his growth and development. Obviously he's attributing a lot of it to you and your influence, his mom, and so forth. But what were you seeing as he got there and then made his progression?
His first year, practice hadn't started, but the far end already goes, Coach Brown, can I talk to you? He says, listen, Coach, all I want to do, I want to block shots, I want to rebound, I play defense. Just let Chris and Stanley do all the scoring. And look up at him and say, what? He said, yeah, let them do it. He was really an unselfish player. But the most defining thing, when I look over at him, is not his basketball skills. If somebody said, what encompasses him in this short story, which defines him perfectly. He talks about that $5 million, whatever it was he saw. He's the most benevolent person I've ever seen without having to call the media and tell him where he is or what he's doing. Here's the most prominent story. Lakers are playing Indiana Pacers in Indianapolis. They're behind 3-2. If they lose the game, they're out. That's it. A woman calls me at 8 o'clock in the morning. Said she was originally from Baton Rouge. They live in Indianapolis. She has a little 9-year-old boy that's had a cancerous brain tumor. He's dying. She said, Coach Brown, I know he's playing in town. I don't want to be presumptuous. Is there any way that I could give you my cell and he could just hold the phone up to this little boy's ear so he could die. He loves Shaquille O'Neal. I'll check. So I called him almost instantly the day of the game. I told him, and when he's going to do something, when he says, "Gotcha, coach," he'll do it. Hung up. 2 years later, I'm in a fragrant restaurant of mine in Baton Rouge. Woman walks up, "Coach Brown, I'm such and such." I said, "Oh yeah, you're the little boy's mother." I said, "Geez, what's it been, 2 years ago?" And she said, I said, "Did Shaquille call him?" "No, Coach Brown, she didn't." I said, "He didn't?" She said, "No, Coach Brown." She started tearing up. She said, "He came up to the hospital the day of the game. He sat 1 hour holding my son's hand. He came out of the coma, laughed and smiled, and that man talked to him for 1 hour." That was never in any newspaper. So any slam dunk, Hall of Fame, as wonderful it is, NBA All-Star, he's far more than a basketball player.
Where does that come from?
It comes from my mother, my father, and him. I always tell the story that my father got some extra cash from doing side jobs. So he said, "Let's go get something to eat." So when I say go get something to eat, it's not a sit-down restaurant. I'm talking McDonald's, Burger King, stuff like that. So we go to White Castle. So he gets 4 double cheese. So I try to outdo him. So I get 4 double cheese. So we're in the car. And, we can't finish them all. So we're riding in Newark, New Jersey, and a fella has a sign that says, "We'll work for food." So we had like 4 burgers left. My father gives him the food and gives him the extra $10 he had in his pocket.